Abby Lee Miller from Dance Moms, she is sentenced to 1 year and 1 day in prison. And according to Team Z, she's been indicted on 20 counts of fraud and hiding $755,000 in earnings from the government. Also, Team Z reports that she begged the court for mercy before her sentence was revealed, saying she got caught up in her rapid rise to fame once Dance Moms became popular. And what's interesting too is you may have seen on social media, people were sharing the photos of the former Dance Moms, Chloe's mom, Chloe Lukasiak, right? Yep. You interviewed her. Her mom was there, as well as Kelly Hyland. They were there not in support of Abby Lee Miller. They were there because they liked that Abby Lee Miller was being sentenced to prison. Lukasiak, the mom, she told TribLive.com, "I'm here supporting the government because I'm a tax-paying citizen in Pittsburgh." And then finally, the judge told Abby Lee Miller at the end of the sentencing, he told her, quote, "You weren't truthful. Even when you knew you were supposed to tell everything, you still weren't truthful. Somehow you got caught up in the world of fame and you lost your moral compass." She also has to pay $160,000 in fines. We also have her response, but I need to talk to you because Brett you've been a Dance Moms fan for quite a long time.
Since they were just kids, since they were minis, essentially.
And you've interviewed some of the main stars of Dance Moms.
We had Asia, we had Chloe on the show. I mean, we met Christy, and the story around Christy and Chloe is Chloe left the show a while back just because, and so did Kelly, Paige, and Brooke. Like they left the show because they couldn't handle Abby, and they hated her so much, and there was a giant, feud between the two. And of course they're gonna show up at the sentencing. And of course they're gonna be there being like, send that bitch to prison, lock her up.
Exactly what they were doing.
Oh, it's so intense. But Chloe's back on the show because they have Cheryl Burke. So everyone was a little suspect of what was gonna come down the pike because sentencing was ahead and she had pled guilty. So they announced that they were gonna have Cheryl Burke from Dancing with the Stars be the coach for the next year.
Wow.
So that doesn't mean that Abby can't come back after she serves her time, but in the meantime, they have definitely planned around it. Chloe's back on the show, Paige and Brooke are not, but I mean, they have kind of planned around Abby not being there.
Is Maddie still on the show too?
Maddie's not on the show.
Okay, because that rivalry with Chloe and Maddie, that's when I sort of tuned out.
But the rivalry wasn't between the two of them. Okay. The rivalry that was between Christy and Melissa, and Maddie's mom, and Abby fueled the flames. The girls always got along with each other. There's never really been an era where the girls feuded, which is kind of why I watch the show, because all of Rome is burning around them, and they're just like dedicated to dancing
and so good
and
at
being
dancing
friends.
too.
Yes, exactly.
They're so good at what they do.
So I know the creator of the show. I was really good friends with John Corella back when it was conceptualized way back in 2010 because the show was supposed to depict what happens at dance studios, and I worked in a dance studio for 10 years, and the moms are really that intense, especially at competition time. With that said, and Brett, I'm sorry, Dance Moms is by far the best display of bad parenting on television because, as you said, these kids want to just dance, but yet they have to be the victims to these adults acting like fools over a dance studio. It's ridiculous. Now I am friends with Abby, and I got the interview. I'm so bad. I'm not name dropping. I promise.
I love it.
Me too. Abby's great. Super cool person.
Really?
I interviewed her. Last time I interviewed her was New Year's Day 2015.
So this is before all this shit went
down. But there's always been drama behind the scenes with that sort of thing going on with the show. Now, do I think it's cool that the mom showed up at the trial to kind of?
Yeah,
no, I don't. I do not think that's cool.
Yeah. No, it's not.
At the end of the day, this show provided a living for them and gave their kids something to do that was positive. So showing up to be like, yes, bitch, finally,
Spiteful.
yes, it's not. That's not a good look at all. I do think that she will not serve the whole year and a day.
Well, she has a plan in her year and a day.
Right. To do right.
You want to hear it? Okay, go ahead.
But People.com reported this morning. They said the nail in the coffin for Abby was that she tried to befriend the judge, saying, "I wish you would take my class, and after this, we should go to lunch together."
That's I don't like that.
And that's where
that's using again, trying to use your celebrity. But she did tell. We do have her response video. Okay, so this is what her plan is when she's in jail. Watch.
A year and a day. Does that seem harsh?
A year and a day. It sounds like a movie title.
But the headlines say that you tried to hide the $755,000.
I know. I don't want to hear that number anymore because.
Just a yes or no. You were not trying to hide that.
Not intentionally, no. I wasn't ever trying to hurt anyone. I'm just gonna pretend I'm shooting a movie and we're on set and I'm there for 10 months and that's the way it's gonna be.
How do you plan on spending your days?
Reading, and I want to learn to speak Spanish, and I'm already working on a new book.
I feel like that's like the new MO. You go to jail, you work on a book, you come out, and then you're like this in-demand celebrity.
I know. Also, it kind of bothers me in that interview. She also goes on to say, like, is there something you regret? And she's like, I wouldn't recommend, something to the effect of, I wouldn't recommend filing for bankruptcy. Like, I wouldn't do that again. I wouldn't recommend it. And the whole interview with Good Morning America, and it could have just been the state of mind that she's in. I'm sure she's in a state of shock right now. It kind of comes across as a little trite and as though she doesn't really understand or want to take responsibility for what's going on, because she says things like, I'm just gonna pretend it's a movie set. No, you're not going to prison.
I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna learn Spanish.
But that's her. That's just her internalizing and trying to just work through it. I mean, she could have gone one of two ways. She could have had a meltdown, and we would have loved that, or she'd have done this, and we would have loved this.
No, I don't think it's either or. I think that there's a way to humble yourself to accepting the consequences of your action and not having a breakdown, but also not being like, just gonna write a book and learn Spanish, and it's gonna be a movie.
Fusing those two ideas, it's like that is what got her. That kind of approach is what gets her in trouble with the judge. It's her inability to really wrap her mind around the reality of the situation. But someone going into jail or whatever federal facility she's going into, who am I to tell her how to deal with it? She is serving the time, and whether you agree with her mindset approaching it or not, like she's being taken out of her daily life and being prohibited from participating in this thing that kind of created the monster of Abby Lee, which is the fame. And I think that is a fitting punishment for her.
It'll be humbling, but it's interesting that you said that, because 99.9% of the people on social media completely criticized her for that very reason.